All right, guys, we're live for another episode of Keeping It Real Masterminds. I think this is our 8th episode of 2015. We got a really, really special show today. I'm really excited. The show is called Overcoming Call Reluctance, and there's going to be live coaching with Matthew Ferry. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Jeff Manson. I'm a Hawaii real estate broker and founder of Real Geeks. My normal co-host is Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing. He's actually came down with a bug today, so Scott Solari with his company is going to be filling in. Wave, say hi, Scott.
What's going on? Glad to be here. Love it. Good to see you, Jeff.
All right, nice to see you. And I just wanted to thank Vyral Marketing and Frank and these guys right now. These hangouts wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for them. They do all the technical, they pre-test all the guests. They help do the replays and all the timestamps and all that. So I want to thank them. They just wouldn't be possible without their help. So I really want to thank them. I want to thank Matthew. I want to thank the current guests. Sharon Rourke from Lexington, Kentucky is going to be on. She's been in the business since 2007. And Justin Rollo from Boston, Massachusetts, been in the business since 2010. And of course, Matthew Ferry is just a world-renowned authority in coaching real estate agents. He's a trainer, he's a speaker, and he's an author. He's coached over 8,000 agents in either one-on-one sessions as a one-on-one coach or group sessions. And his mindset, I gotta slow down. His Mindset Mastery programs is a result of his 20 years experience of helping agents on the front lines, teaching them the skills and all the techniques of following up, and then really diving into what's it take for a top agent to take it to the next level. And he's got a website, topagentmindset.com. I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items real quick. If you want to get notified of these, and this is the first time you've seen them and you didn't get an email from us or you didn't get notified through the Google Plus page, you can opt in on the keepingitreal.com website, keepingitreal.com. On the right side, you punch in your name and email, and you'll get the invites of these upcoming and the replays. You can follow the Real Geeks Google Plus page. You can follow the Real Geeks Facebook page, or you can subscribe to the Real Geeks YouTube channel. And every one of these events, the replay with timestamps, thanks to Vyral Marketing, are posted on the Real Geeks blog, okay? And I just want to thank these two agents for coming on. Everybody has some call reluctance of some sort. Even the top high-producing agents have call reluctance at some point, or some sort of call reluctance. They may be really good at calling expired listings, but they may not, they may have some call reluctance calling their center of influence or past clients and stuff like that. I actually had that younger on in my career. I would call expireds. I didn't know them. I would pound them. I would just keep going until they told me to leave them alone. But I had an issue calling past clients or center of influence. It was, I don't know, it was a mindset thing and some sort of call reluctance. And, I did have a coach, some one-on-one coaches, and they helped me get through that in the past. But we all have call reluctance of some sort. And I just want to applaud these two for volunteering, coming on, and having the courage to go ahead and share their call reluctance in front of their peers. And I think by doing this is going to be a huge step in them tackling and having a major breakthrough with Matthew's help. Anyway, I want to jump in and get going right now. Matthew, I have one question for you. What inspired or caused you to can you hear me? I'm getting some feedback.
Yep. Okay.
What inspired or caused you to dig a little bit deeper into the mindset of real estate agents, or the mindset needed of an agent to actually execute and take it to the next level? I mean, what inspired you to like dig? Because most coaches don't dig that deep.
Coaching people like you, Jeff. As I was coaching agents who were doing hundreds and hundreds of deals, and coaching agents who were doing 1, 2, 3 deals in a year, there was this incredible disparity that I noted. And what I saw was I could get Jeff to call expireds, and he would slay it calling expireds. He'd get 7, 8, 10, 15 deals per month, per quarter from that one thing. And this isn't about expires today, but just as an example.
Sure.
Then I'd take another agent, I'd have them do the exact same thing, exact same scripts, exact same actions, everything the same. And they would get no results whatsoever. And I would work with people on their skills, and I would help them to understand what they needed to say, how they needed to say it. I would listen to their calls. I would do all of that. And in the end, Jeff, the skill set was actually being blocked. And in the late 90s, I began to realize that there was actually something going on mentally that was stopping agents from achieving the maximum amount of results from the skills, the disciplines, and the systems that they had put in place. So I could teach Scott all the systems, all the skills, all the disciplines. He could implement those things, and yet he would get one result, and someone else might get 2 times, 3 times a result. The only difference in the end was the way that they thought about it, their mindset.
So wasn't, and they may have the same skills and went through the same training, was able to do everything you taught them, but it just came down to mindset.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So I also, before we dive in here, I just want everyone to know that Matthew is agreed to do one of these once a month through the next through the end of the year here. And just get your pen and paper real quick, and then we're going to dive in, and he's going to start talking with Sharon and Justin and find out what's hanging them up, kind of what they're getting hung up on, so he can help coach them through it. And then we'll get into some Q&A. So the next one Matthew's going to be on is July 23rd. And it's a Thursday. All these are on Thursdays at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. The next one, July 23rd, is mindset and skills needed for calling expireds and prospecting, not expireds, I'm sorry, FSBOs. So the 23rd one is the FSBOs, okay? And then September 10th is going to be mindset skills and needed for calling and working expired listings. And then October 1st is going to be mindset and skills needed for center of influence past clients, okay? So mark your calendars for those. We're blessed and feeling really lucky that Matthew's agreed to come on here and do some live coaching with agents. And feel free to reach out to us if you're working FSBOs or expireds and you're running into barriers. You want to take it to the next level. We will be interviewing some agents to jump on this live, okay?
All right, real quick, Jeff, I'm going to jump in, and up in the right corner, guys, there's little squares. Click in there. There's a Q&A application. Open that up. Ask questions. We'll get them answered at the end.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
All right, Matthew.
Great, rock and roll. So Justin and Sharon, I want to start by letting you know that we're going to work from something that I've developed over the last 20 years called the mindset methodology. And the mindset methodology is a set of systems, procedures, processes, skills, disciplines that we utilize to create a shift in our mindset. Typically what people do is they try to beat themselves up. They try to force themselves to make calls. They try to talk themselves into it. You know, I'm gonna affirmation myself. They stand in front of the mirror. I'm powerful. I'm excited. Blah blah. And I've done all those things. And there's a certain amount of positive benefit that you get from them. But in the end, there's something in your head that I call the drunk monkey. And the drunk monkey, you know, you say, I'm a great prospector. I'm going to make my calls today. And the drunk monkey in your head says, you're stupid. I can't believe you're even saying that. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're going to fail. Everyone's going to hang up on you. You get all this insanity going on in your head. So what I've noted is that the drunk monkey does 12 things, which I call unconscious reflexes. And I want to tell you about 6 of them because we're going to use them on this call. And then we're going to utilize a set of procedures to undo the unconscious reflexes, specifically in your call reluctance. So there's forecasting the negative is one of those unconscious reflexes, where the drunk monkey pretends that it's psychic, and it thinks it can predict the future, and it can't. And it's a great survival system if you live in the jungle, but you don't. You're a real estate agent who's trying to thrive, not survive. There's another one called desire to fit in, and we likely are running into that in the call reluctance. There's this reflex where you want to be a part of the group, The problem is that the group doesn't even know that you're there. They don't even care because they don't know you. They're an expired, a FSBO, a just listed, a just sold, yet we're trying to fit into what we think they want us to fit into. Really bad, will stop you from calling. Another one is called holding people accountable to agreements they didn't make. This happens when we're calling for sale by owners. We call them and they're jerks, but they're not really jerks. The truth of the matter is, Justin, there are no jerks in the world until you show up. The moment you show up, jerks appear. And what makes them a jerk is that they break your rules for how people are supposed to act. The problem is your rules don't exist in reality. No one cares what your rules are. And your rules were conditioned into you by the group of people that raised you. And the people that raised you have nothing to do with real estate, but you and me. We are drunk monkeys, and we are following a conditioned way of operating. Another one that we're going to deal with is called avoiding making the same mistake twice. It's pretty simple. You walk over, you pet a dog, the dog bites you. The next time you see a dog, you're afraid. It's a natural survival system. You call up a past client. That past client tells you they don't want to be on your list anymore. Now you're afraid to call past clients. I'll just email them. Maybe that'll hopefully get them to stay on my list. Though not all past clients are going to be mad. Not all dogs that you pet are going to bite you. But the mind is crazy. The mind of the drunk monkey literally thinks that the past will repeat itself. And we've got to learn how to get past that. The other one is following rules that don't exist. So this happens a lot with past clients in sphere of influence. Our parents told us don't impose on people. And so we then expand it out to all of these different areas. We start following rules and protocols that were inside of our family unit, and we apply them to real estate, and it is a death blow to your real estate agent. If you don't, to your real estate business, if you don't unravel what this unconscious reflex is doing, it'll stop you dead in your tracks. And then the last one is fear of failure. And fear of failure, pretty simple. We don't want to fail. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want people to reject us. All of these things are standing in our way. So we're going to use a series of processes from my methodology. The first one called releasing attachment. The second one called being a scientist. The third one is a recontextualization exercise. And then the fourth one is dealing with the worst case scenario. So I want to start off with Justin. Justin, can you tell me, where are you feeling the call reluctance? What area of business is stopping you dead in your tracks?
So I think the biggest thing for me, and I don't know how this will sort of fit in, like where this fits into the 6 things you just mentioned, but I guess I don't want to bother people, right? Like I pride myself on not being a pushy salesperson. I pride myself on being a genuine person when I'm dealing with clients. So, like I don't want to be seen as the guy who's hounding leads, right? Like I don't want to be the person calling as a family sitting down to eat dinner and like being that guy. So that's sort of my biggest thing.
Great. So basically you're following a rule that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you're avoiding failure. You don't want to be that guy. That guy meaning somebody who is in your rule book rude or imposing or whatever. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, because like we've all been there as agents too. I get calls from telemarketers every day, probably like 8 calls.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of doing something. I'm trying to talk to clients. I'm doing this, and it's frustrating. So I think I'm taking my personal experience of I'm busy. I'm trying to do something else, and taking that, and I don't want to be doing that to other people.
Right. So I just want to pause here for a moment and ask Scott. Scott, on my screen, I'm only seeing Sharon. That's it. So every time Justin starts talking, I don't see him at all. I don't know if that's what's happening to our audience now. At the moment you started
when you're talking, it's you. So
Okay.
It must just be your screen. You're fine.
All right, good. Good. I just want to make sure that our viewer is getting the best possible.
The viewer is getting the person that's talking. So they probably see me right now because I'm talking, right?
Great.
So.
Go viewer. Okay.
All right.
So let's dive into this. Okay. The first thing that we're going to do is let's do some recontextualization. And this is a procedure that we do in a program that I call Mindset Mastery. And mindset mastery is really not about programming your mind. If you've noticed, your mind does not care if you try to program it, and it'll take 20, 30 years for you to unprogram what took about 2 years when you were a kid to get locked into your brain. So we don't have 20 years. We need to get over it now, and what I've found is the fastest way to get over it is through a process of recontextualization. So the first thing that I want to do, Justin, is I want to take you through the process of releasing attachment. So releasing attachment has I have down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components to the system. I'm going to walk you through it. If our viewer has in mind a place in which you are experiencing some call reluctance, then you can walk yourself through this with me at the same time. Okay? So the first thing is, let's identify what the drunk monkey is fantasizing about losing, because attachment, Justin, is actually an exaggerated fear of losing some positive benefit. But it's an exaggeration. It's not real, but the mind blows it up and makes it really big, and it does that on purpose because the drunk monkey's job is to steer you away from danger. Justin, the drunk monkey in your head actually believes you're too stupid to understand how to behave. So what it does is it uses imagery and emotion to push you in particular directions without logical thinking and cognition. So we're going to move you from the back of your brain back here in reaction to the front of your brain, which moves much slower, but it's going to give you logic, creativity, resourcefulness, reason, intuition, creativity, all the things you need to expand your business live up here. So right now we're going to move you from back here to up here. We're going to start to address your exaggeration. So the first question is, what are you afraid of losing when you call these people? What are you really afraid of?
I mean, losing a potential client more than anything. I mean, frankly, I don't really care if somebody yells at me and tells me to get off the phone. Like, that is not really anything that drives me. So I don't want to get the person at the wrong time and then lose an opportunity down the road with them. So like, I think I build up this thing like, where I don't want to hit somebody at the wrong time the first night I talk to them and then lose an opportunity to convert them later down the road.
So let's just can we just step back and let's look at what unconscious reflex is happening there, everybody. So we got 6 of them. And he's touching on number 1, forecasting the negative. So I just want you to take a moment and just separate yourself from who you are for a moment. Will you do that, Justin?
Sure.
Step back and look at yourself in the mirror. I don't want to call them at the wrong time and lose a client. So what I'm hearing is you have some crystal ball, and the all-knowing psychic drunk monkey can look into the future and see when people are in the right place to call them. Can you see that is a little nutty?
Oh, it's absurd. It's completely absurd. It's nutty, yeah.
Yeah. And the drunk monkey is absolutely insane, my friend. Nuts. But we listen to the drunk monkey like, oh, if the drunk monkey says it, that's true. But it isn't true. In fact, I want you to just consider this thought. Your mind is not your friend. It doesn't even like you. Who else calls you fat and ugly and stupid and makes fun of you and tells you bad things? If your friend said the stuff that your mind says to you, they wouldn't be your friend. But you listen to it all the time. So let's get back to it because you actually didn't quite touch on it, okay?
Okay.
You said, Matthew, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that calls. I have telemarketers call me. You know, they don't get I'm in the middle of something. They're bothering me. You know, I don't want to be that guy that bugs people. If you look at that thought, what are you really afraid of losing?
It's a good question. I guess I like losing the sort of image that I've built of myself, right? Like, I don't want to be the greasy, sleazy sales guy.
Right. So I don't want to go from pristine, perfect, amazing, cool, whatever I am, whatever I made up, to slimy, sleazy, downgrade, not a part of.
Yeah.
Make sense? So that's step one in our process of releasing attachment, is to start to understand what the drunk monkey is actually afraid of losing. Now I want you to look at step two in the process, and that is to get focused on, well, how is this an exaggeration? How are you exaggerating? How is the fear of loss of this actually an exaggeration? See if you can get it.
Oh, I mean, 90% of the people I call would not have this reaction at all, or like 98%, right? Like, but like it's really easy to dwell on the 2% of the time where somebody might flip out and say, "I'm putting my kids to bed. How dare you call me right now?" You know, like it's such a small percentage of people that would have that reaction. But
exactly,
that's what would probably stick with you more than the 98% of the time where people are just totally fine and appreciate the call.
Exactly right. So the drunk monkey will rob you of the 98 to save face with the 2. What we're talking about here is a unconscious reflex called desire to fit in. So can you see how all of this stuff is woven together? All of these unconscious reflexes are woven together, which is typically what's happening when we're experiencing call reluctance. Because if we're being totally honest, when you're experiencing call reluctance, you are experiencing the most intense version of what I call the success paradox. The success paradox is your desire for success is met with unconscious resistance. I'm trying to do this, and then my push forward gets hit with push back. And there's something inside of us unconsciously, you can't figure out what it is. I'm telling you, these are the things that they are. Let's look at the third step of the process. The third step is, how will losing the benefit of these 2 people actually affect you without the exaggeration?
I mean, realistically, they won't, because if I don't make the call to begin with, I'm never going to have their business anyway. So, like, I mean, like, objectively, it is absurd. Like, I totally understand that. But without, like, not aggressively, but without, like, calling and making contact and just, like, passively emailing these people, I will never get, they're never going to be my client anyway, so I'm not really losing anything.
No, you're not.
But I still, like, think I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's an insane thing.
Way, Justin. Say it. I want you to just admit it out loud. I'm not in control of my own life, Matthew.
Oh God, that's tough. No, I am not in control of my own life.
I'm the drunk monkey's puppet, Matthew. Yeah. I'm the puppet of the drunk monkey. The insanity in my head is in control of my business.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, my intention is that by the time we're done with this call, that is no longer happening.
All right.
So there's 2 more steps. First of all, can you make peace with the fact that 2 of the 98 are going to be upset, mad, it's not going to be the right time, and you're going to have that pit in your stomach that you may have represented yourself like the sleazy salesperson? Can you make peace with that you have 98 successes and two failures?
I can. I'm getting to a point where it becomes easier, right? Like, when I had first started in the business, I don't think I could honestly say that.
No.
But now I've been like, I've dealt with people who have, like buyers who have just like flaked out on me, and like, I'm okay with people kind of turning the other way. That's totally fine, and that's their prerogative. So it's becoming easier, and I'm in a place now where I am okay with that idea.
Let's look at the next step, Justin. What are you actually committed to, my friend?
I mean, growing my business is ultimately the #1 thing for me.
Could we also make some of these statements? I'm committed to helping 50 families this year fulfill their vision of the American dream. I'm committed to being one of the top realtors in my area. I'm committed to being someone who raises the standard on how people operate and how people do real estate. I want to bring a profound level of integrity to this business. I don't want to represent myself as a sleazy salesperson. I actually want to connect with these people in an authentic way and honestly assess if there's some way that I can be of service without being pushy, without being a jerk, without causing them to feel uncomfortable. Isn't that really the spirit of what you're committed to?
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of utopian view on that would be like the perfect, way.
Let me ask you a question about this utopian view, okay? There's what we call a realistic point of view. And a realistic point of view is actually code for a point of view that I accidentally adopted because I have fearful filters that my drunk monkey has put in front of my eyes. And you can certainly adopt those filters if you like. But what you'll find is that top agents realize that they get what they focus on. So if you focus on the utopian view and you achieve 70% of it, 72% of it, 75% of it, you're infinitely better off than if you focus on a more pragmatic point of view, which includes lots of nastiness and negatives that you then also pull into your life through your focus. The drunk monkey will try to convince you that it's realistic to protect yourself. The only problem, Justin, is that you're not in a business that is dangerous in any way. Therefore, any protection, any frustration, any fear, any anxiety that you feel is absolutely inappropriate. And what I help people to do in Top Agent Mindset is to eliminate all that stuff because it doesn't help the transaction. Your anxiety, fear, and whatever doesn't cause more people's houses to get sold.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press pause on you. And I'm going to come over here to Sharon. I'm going to take her through the releasing attachment exercise. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to take the next step. And the next step, because just releasing your attachment is, all that did was just get us started. Then we're going to go to the next step. We're going to talk about being a scientist, okay? So, Sharon, where are you feeling stuck in your call reluctance?
I have two areas that I seem to put off, even though I'm successful when I do them. Calling people who register on my website and calling expireds.
Let's take, since we're doing a Real Geeks hangout, why don't we just talk about the people that are registering on your website? Let's talk about that group.
Okay.
What's stopping you from calling them?
There are a few things. One, I'm afraid they're going to be mean to me, and then it's going to put me in a grumpy mood, and it's going to have the domino effect on all the other people that I may have been able to help. And two, that I'll end up getting sucked into a lengthy conversation with someone who actually has no intention to buy, but I don't dig this out until 30 minutes into it, and then I'm frustrated because I wasted 30 minutes of my time with someone who is, well, really, I'm 18 years old and just starting college, and I just thought it'd be great to look up $1 million houses on your website. Okay,
so let's start by getting out our insanity sniff test, okay? So I want you to, yep, exactly, got to clear your throat so you can actually smell how weird what you just said is, okay? You ready for me on this? So I want you to step back and pretend you're looking at you. Step back and pretend you're looking at you. This is one of the most important techniques that we do in Top Agent Mindset. Is we get out of our insanity, we look at ourselves, we self-assess. So one thing I'm afraid of is that I'll call people, they'll be mean to me. So there's that part, right? That fear is real. I don't want people to be mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this other weird thing that you added to it. The drunk monkey has convinced you that because that person is mean to you, you don't have enough personal power to say, you know, just because you are trying to give me a gift of a hot coal doesn't mean I need to take it and put it in my hand. So your drunk monkey is saying you are too dumb to deal with mean people and then move forward, which I think with assessment you realize you're not too dumb to do that. You absolutely can have someone go, "Rah, rah, 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 yeah, da, 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 da," and then you could just go, ah, boy, that person was a little bit crazy, and then continue on. You have that power. But I suspect in the past, you have given your power to other people because you got caught up in the unconscious reflex called the desire to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And the desire to fit in is insidious. So the drunk monkey has convinced you that somewhere that someone's going to be mean, and then you're going to screw up all the other relationships that day because you inadequately handle other
Yes.
people's anger, right?
Yes, because it's not just that they were mean, but that I wasn't sharp enough to figure out how to handle it, turn it around, turn it into a win, so therefore now I'm really crummy.
Right, exactly right. I'm at the effect of other people's mood.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So first of all, I would highly recommend that you spend a little more time reading a few of the articles that I've put out on Top Agent Mindset so that you can get some skills on that. We're not going to talk about the skill of allowing people to be insane in your presence and not reacting. That is a skill that all top producers have. All top agents are able to do it, and I want you to learn that. Today we're going to focus on the reluctance part of it all, okay? So can you first see, again, looking at yourself in the mirror, can you see that you have accidentally believed that you're psychic and that you can predict the future?
Mm-hmm. Because kind of like Justin said, in reality, 98% of the people are not mean to me.
I'm getting a little bit of a lag there, guys. I don't know if you are. I don't know if that's mine or not.
No, I was getting it too.
Okay, good. Yep, I'm just still getting a little bit of lag, so we'll just let that lag sort of play itself out. Hopefully we're going to come back here in a moment.
Are we good?
All right, good.
It's clear on this side. Like I'm seeing you all clear. Yeah. So.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. I'm getting a little bit of lag, and I'm also getting a little bit of a spin on my thing, but I'm just going to keep rolling with it, and I'll have Kristen tell me if I'm getting off here. So the one thing I want you to do is I want you to look at what is the actual thing that you're afraid of losing here. What are you afraid? So we're going to go through the releasing attachment system. You're afraid of losing something. What is it?
I'm afraid of losing business I may have been able to gain if I had been better at it.
Okay, so losing business I may have been able to gain if I had been better in the moment. So I'm afraid that the actions I'm going to take will actually cause me to not get business, and I will have spent that time not getting business. Is that kind of it?
I guess so, although that sounds pretty ridiculous.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that the drunk monkey is a complete Looney Tune. The second thing that you want to do now, you've already started to do it. What's the exaggeration? What is the exaggeration here?
That I'm going to carry over this one person's idiocy into every other interaction I have throughout the day instead of maybe taking a breather and shaking it off, which I am capable of doing, but I guess I'm afraid that I won't be able to do it, even though I know I can do it.
Exactly right. And so then the next question becomes, how will losing the benefit actually affect you without the exaggeration? So you got a person, they're crazy, they are angry, you assimilate some of that anger, and then you continue along in the day. How will this actually affect you without all the exaggeration?
In reality, very little. I could be having a crummy day and really like you said, carry the hot coal, but the vast majority of the time, it's not going to have an effect on me. I can move on, and if I just don't call at all, I don't get any business.
Hello, ding. If I don't call at all, I don't get any business. So can you make peace with the loss?
I'm trying to. that's something in logic. Like, I know logically I can do it, and I have done it.
Good.
There's still a fear in me that on that one day when I'm feeling stressed and the person just hits me the right way, I'm afraid that I won't
Great.
do it
So
well.
what we're going to do is we're going to continue to work on our processes, because with call reluctance, it's not just one thing. You know, for example, with being able to disassociate from nasty people, that's one technique. But with call reluctance, we've got to use 4 techniques to get ourselves unhooked. Let's continue to look at the next thing, okay? So the next thing, Justin and Sharon, I want you guys to realize this, okay? One of my clients, if anybody watches the Google Hangouts that I've done in the past where I'm interviewing clients that have gone through the Top Agent Mindset Training Program, you might remember one of my clients, Michael. And Michael was afraid to call expired listings. And he had been procrastinating forever. And he went through the releasing attachment exercise just like we did right now. He got a little bit of space. He started to see, whoa, maybe I'm a little crazy here. But then what he did was he created the next thing, which is to be a real estate scientist. Now, a scientist, if you think about it, what the scientist is committed to is they're committed to finding out rather than pretending that they're psychic. The scientist is committed to doing an experiment rather than pretending that they already know. The scientist is going to create an experiment, and they're going to see if their hypothesis is correct. So, Justin, you know what we're going to do? We're going to see if your hypothesis is correct. We're going to see if people will think that you are a sleazy salesperson, scum of the earth. And Sharon, for you, we're going to run a science experiment to see if I call my Real Geek leads, will they then get angry at me? That's one. And then will I carry that anger into the next few calls and have a disaster train wreck that day? I'm going to track and monitor those things. So if I'm a scientist, I'm going to look at it in a very simple way. I'm going to create an experiment, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to create an experiment. Michael created an experiment, and here's what happened. In the month of January of this year, he took an additional 7 listings from one experiment with expireds. In his career, he's averaged 30 to 40 deals over and over and over. He's been at a plateau from the very beginning. This year, he already has 36 deals closed and pending right now. All he did was release his attachment. He started to run a science experiment, and then he did a couple of the other techniques that I'm going to take you through next. And so I want you guys to think about designing an experiment. And here's what I would consider. Justin, your experiment should be something like this. I'm going to take 100 leads. I'm going to then call those leads, and I'm going to track the number of times that I feel like a sleazeball, the number of people I called, the number of conversations I had. I'm going to track the number of sleazeball moments I feel. I'm going to track the number of leads I get, the number of times that people hang up on me. I'm going to do an actual thorough investigation, and I'm going to see what happens. So rather than making up a story like I'm the all-knowing Justin who can predict the future and tell the world how it's going to be because I'm so amazing, instead of allowing the drunk monkey to be insane, you're going to say, all right, drunk monkey, let's put your ideas to the test here, buddy, and see what's really happening. And I want you to run an experiment. Same thing for you, Sharon. Your job is to run an experiment for the next month. And what you're going to do is you're going to track. If you don't track and monitor, it's not an experiment. You cannot use your interpretation as your guide. Your interpretation is blurred by the drunk monkey's insanity. You got to track. How many of my Real Geek leads did I call? How many of them yelled at me and were mean to me? How many of them were nice to me and kind to me? How many of the ones that yelled at me did I then take the rest of the day and ineffectively process that anger? So how many total days did I get taken out by the angry people? And then I need to track. How many times did I make calls and it was totally fine and I had a great day and I continued on? You need to track these things. I want you to take on an experiment and I want you to see what happens. happens. That's the next thing that I want you to do. So after that, first of all, Justin, I just want to go to you. Questions, concerns, comments, thoughts, hallucinations about that?
No, I have another sort of thing to throw at you, though.
Go for it, man.
All right, so I do really well with creating leads. I can create leads at a pretty low price and get a high volume of people, right? So
Right.
like with passive sort of email drips and text campaigns and voicemails and all this stuff that's sort of a passive follow-up approach.
Yeah.
I've still created a pretty good business, and I convert a lower percentage than I could. And it's almost like there is some complacency there, right? Like,
Justin, not could, then I want.
yeah. Not that I want. It's, I guess, I want my cake with, I want both, I want to, grow the business, but not willing to sort of go and start making the calls, which is sort of complacency. And I don't know where on that spectrum that sort of falls for you.
Well, what it tells me is that you haven't defined what you're truly committed to. But here's the thing that I'd like to propose. I'd like to propose that there's no possible way that you would have decided to get on such a public venue and deal with your call reluctance if, in fact, you weren't in your heart thinking, damn it, Justin. If you would just make calls, you could do so much more, make so much more money, have more of the life I want, go on the vacations that I want to go on, save more money, invest more money, do all the things that I want to do. Damn it, Justin. I suspect that somewhere in you is that feeling.
Sure. I think everybody has that, right?
No, they don't, Justin.
Come on. No, I know.
That, Justin.
Yeah.
Look around, my friend.
Yeah.
There are those who are committed and dedicated, and there are those who are not. And you are in the small group that is.
Yeah.
So given that, what you want to start to do is you want to start to say, drunk monkey, your rationalizations are fantastic, and they make tremendous sense. And you've spent so much time convincing me to be less than what I really am. But I've made the decision that I'm no longer going to be your puppet. I've made the decision that I'm going to start to be in control of my life now. So I'm going to investigate. I'm going to do an experiment called calling people. And I'm going to see what actually happens out of it. Because you can pretend and you can rationalize and you can do all of your normal survival tactics of trying to estimate where the danger is. But the truth of the matter is, in the end, we don't know. And the reason why science emerged, Justin, was that we as a people no longer wanted to rely on the insanity of the mind. We wanted proof. So you got to ask yourself, am I going to continue to live my hallucination, or am I going to find out the truth?
Yeah. Find out the truth. I do like the science approach, right? That really speaks to me. I'm a numbers guy. I like sort of framing it that way. It's an easy way to sort of frame it to get over it.
Brother, I don't care if you call a single person. It doesn't make any difference to me at all.
Yeah.
You may want to run some other science experiment, but you got on a public forum to deal with call reluctance.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be honest with yourself. You're intending to make some calls.
Yeah.
Great. Sharon, any questions before we move forward? Okay, let's move forward then. The worst case scenario is the next technique that we're going to do, and I want to dive in here with you and make sure that you realize that the drunk monkey is absolutely preposterous. It will focus on the worst possible thing. It will amplify that in your mind, and it will use those images to steer you. It grabs onto your ears, steers you around, and you are at the effect of the monkey. You're not in charge of your own life. You're not in charge of your own business. You are nothing more than a puppet most of the time, unless you begin to learn how to deal with this stuff. So the worst case scenario. The first thing that we want to do, Sharon, is we want to look at what is the worst possible thing that could happen if you made these calls. You're calling your Real Geeks leads. Tell me about the most nightmarish possible scenario.
I call one of these leads. They're rude and mean, and they hate all realtors. And I try for several minutes to be diplomatic and inquisitive and everything, and it just makes them madder, and I lose it and start engaging with them in a horrible way, and then they go online and all over the internet and write what a horrible agent and person I am. And then I lose much more business because now I've established a reputation as a horrible person.
And they've called your broker.
Yes, and they filed a complaint.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep, filed a complaint with the board. Good. This is what I like. See how insane the drunk monkey is? The drunk monkey will go to the ends of the earth to get you to avoid its irrational fears. Not your fears, the drunk monkey's fears. Now, all of those things represent a possibility. What we need to do is we need to look those possibilities in the eye and actually make peace with them. So let's say, total jerk, absolute blow up, you go, nuclear on them, they go nuclear on you, and then they go on a retaliation campaign. They call your broker, file a complaint. They call the board, they file a complaint. Then they go on the internet, they do a bad Zillow review, a bad Yelp review, a bad Google review, negative, 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 all these reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that happens. I don't want you to avoid it. I want you to go there. It all happens. Now what? What do you do?
Now I have a huge knot in my stomach, and I want to hide under the covers and not come out.
You've got a knot in your stomach. You've hid under the covers. Let's say you've done that for 3 or 4 days. Now what?
I don't know.
Are there people that love you?
Sure.
Are there people that want to do business with you?
Yes.
Are there people who don't care about what anyone else says?
Yes.
Yes. Are there people who don't even do research on agents?
Yes.
Yes. Are there people who, when they get referred to you, they're gonna trust what their friend says over anyone else?
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever done business with someone who you found they had some bad reviews, but you did it anyway?
Yeah, if it was overwhelmed by positive reviews, or
That's right.
the one person sounded like sour grapes, I could overlook it.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know that also in most of those companies that you could actually make a phone call to them and pitch them to take down the negative reviews if the negative reviews seem derogatory and inflammatory? Did you know that? Do you know that most of those companies are obligated through how they operate and their own principles to make sure that their platform isn't a way in which others can leverage to bring harm onto others? Did you know that?
Not really, huh?
Yeah. So I just want you to know I'm a public figure, and I've had some people write some nasty stuff about me. And some of it I just leave up because I want people to know I'm not perfect. Others of it was so obvious that the person was holding some kind of grudge and they were going out of their way to be nasty. And in those moments, we simply picked up the phone and called and said, "Will you just look at it and tell us what you think?" And when they read it, they were like, "You're right, this person is trying to hurt you." And they took them down. Do you have positive reviews up now?
Sure.
You sure do, don't you? And if people read, they're gonna recognize not everybody's gonna love you. Doesn't everybody know that?
Theoretically, but I'm comparing the highlight reel from other agents who have 89 all 5-star reviews to however many 5 stars, and then I've got the 1 star. So
yeah, exactly.
So apparently all the other top producing agents are perfect, and I'm the only one who's not.
Okay, great. And utilizing that point of view, what are you now accomplishing?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Utilizing the point of view that you just said, What are you accomplishing? What did the drunk monkey just win? What was the victory the drunk monkey just had just now?
The drunk monkey got me back into my lizard brain or the back of my head, and it got me into fear mode, so I'm afraid to do anything.
Right, so you get to be a loser who doesn't
Yeah.
get to call the people. These people want information. You don't call them. These people are reaching out to you. You don't call them. So, you know, what kind of reputation are you creating anyways? You got these people who are saying, yes, contact me, then you're not contacting me.
No, you're right, and none of that's ever happened. I've never gone off on a lead, and I've never had anyone do a smear campaign, but
Right.
there's the fear.
That's right. So let me just take you all the way into the worst case. If that happens, if you get into that scenario, can you deal with it?
Yeah, I can. I would not want to,
No.
but I could.
Right. You don't want to, but if it happened, you could deal with it, couldn't you?
Sure.
Yeah, you could. And the possibility of it happening is pretty low.
True.
So what there is to do is to design an experiment to see if a smear campaign is even possible, or what would happen. Really, you just need to design an experiment, and you need to put the drunk monkey to the test, because let's be honest, you're a logical, reasonable person who is being run around by the drunk monkey and its insanity, and if it was me, I wouldn't put up with it for another second. Your life is being limited. Justin, your life is being shrunk down to the confines of an insane thing in your head that is trying to keep you alive in a situation that is not dangerous. It is your survival system gone wild because it's bored, because there's the thing that's going to kill each of us on this phone is likely stress and what we eat, and that's it. But the drunk monkey is going to try and keep us safe from all the other things out there in the world, which of course is wasting our time and causing us to lose money. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we honor the time that we have on our process here. Justin, let me ask you a question. Would you be willing to create an experiment and come on to our next Google Hangout for 2 or 3 minutes and just give us the update on your experiment?
Sure, I'll do a whole nother one of these. At 2 or 3 minutes, I'll be on for another 45.
Great. Well, we
There
just
you go.
want you to come on. And
I'm just kidding.
we're gonna do something. We'll do FISBOs next time. So we just want you to report back on the general call reluctance. You're going to do 2 things. One, I'm going to request that you go to my topagentmindset.com site and that you sign up for my free training and just get in my world so you're getting some
Sure.
reminders. Okay?
Sure.
That's number 1. Number 2, I want you to conduct an experiment, and I want you over and over and over to just deal with the insanity of the drunk monkey. So you'll watch this training again, or actually, if you go to the Call Reluctance article that I wrote, you'll see the releasing attachment exercise is in that article on Top Agent Mindset, and I want you to go just take yourself through those steps of releasing your attachment. You're probably going to have to do it 15, 20 times before you condition yourself to be unattached.
Okay.
Would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Fantastic. And then, Sharon, what I'd like you to do is I want you to conduct an experiment, and I want you to report back to us how many people went insane and got mean, and how many times
I can't hear you.
Okay, great. And can everyone else hear me? Did you guys lose me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, good. I came back. Great.
Uh-huh.
So, Sharon, I want you to do an experiment. I want you to see if the drunk monkey's right or if you're right. So I want you to conduct an experiment where you identify, let's call it 100 Real Geek leads, and then you call them and you determine how many people went crazy and how many times did I react. How many people were nice and what happened because of that. You're going to put the drunk monkey to the test, and then you're going to go back through, if you go to Top Agent Mindset, I want you to get into the free training that I have there to keep it going for you. Then I want you to look at the article that I wrote for you on overcoming call reluctance, and I just want you to go through the releasing attachment exercise, take you like 2 minutes, and I want you to go through the exercise of dealing with the worst case scenario, take you about 90 seconds or so, and just get yourself mentally right, make those calls and see what actually happens. Be a scientist. Put on your lab coat, Justin. Put on your goggles, put on your gloves, and see what actually is going to occur. So with that, I want to open up to any questions from our viewers, if there are any questions out there at all.
Yeah,
All right.
we got some. Yeah,
All
we
right,
got
Scott,
some.
you read those questions, and yeah, and then if Justin and Sharon have any additional questions before we get off, we can circle back to them as well.
All right, so I got a question for you here, Matthew. How do you deal with call reluctance created from overwhelming and being complacent, or coming from trying to deal with the chaos of lead generation at a higher level for the first time?
Right. This is very, very, very normal. So really what we're talking about here is it's a practical matter. And what happens is the drunk monkey says, if you get more, you already are terrible at what you're doing. You already can't deal with it. So by getting more, you will actually cause yourself to go into a place where you aren't being effective with people, you aren't fulfilling on your promises, you're going to lose face with people, you're going to get embarrassed, you're going to fall on your face, blah, blah, blah. This is a typical drunk monkey, insane vision that it will play out. So what you're doing is you're forecasting the negative. What I want you to do is I want you to do the exact same thing that we've done here. There are very simple steps to take. You're going to start by releasing attachment. So you're going to go through the process of releasing attachment. That's number one. Number two, you're going to conduct a science experiment. But your science experiment needs to be different. Your science experiment needs to take into account that there are actual structural changes that need to occur in your business. So you've got to, for example, what do I need to do in my follow-up system to make sure that I follow up on all the leads that I get, and I do it with integrity? There's a system that needs to be put in place. That's part of your experiment. What do I need to do in my listing management process? There's a system, something structural that needs to change so that I can deal with more listing appointments and not be overwhelmed by that. Maybe I need to hire an assistant. Maybe I need to hire a transaction coordinator. Maybe I need to hire a lead/marketing coordinator person to just work for a couple hours a day virtually to help me with my lead flow and not drop the ball. I don't know what it is, but what you need to do is recognize there's the mindset, and then there's also the conditions that are present. You must do an experiment to adjust your conditions so that it helps you with your mindset. So do the releasing attachment, run an experiment, and then if you're still afraid, do the worst case scenario. All those you can get to on Top Agent Mindset.
All right, I got another question for you here, Matthew, and thank you. That's a great answer. I've been preparing to prospect for 2 hours a day, but have been doing everything but prospecting like I should. Got the database updated, the office space ready, doing everything, but not starting.
Yes. You're getting ready to get started to get going someday. Hopefully when it's all perfect, then you're going to actually do it. I think that there's a couple things for you to do. One thing that I know about myself is that if I create external pressure for myself, I will often do more than if I let my accountability partner be my drunk monkey. So what most people are doing is they're having the drunk monkey be their accountability partner, and that will absolutely stop you dead in your tracks. So typically in this kind of situation, there's just a little hump you need to get over. So of course I want you to do the releasing attachment exercise. Of course I want you to run and conduct an experiment for yourself. And I want you to do the worst case scenario. I want you to do all those things. But the clincher, I think, for you will be a structural change that you'll make where you implement some kind of accountability. That accountability probably needs to be pain-oriented, but I don't know. So one of the things that we do in the Top Agent Mindset training program is there's a full assessment. I have a system that I use to help you understand what are your motivational triggers, what actually pulls you forward. For a lot of people it's pain, some people it's pleasure, there are other indicators, but why don't you just start with pain? I would say that creating some kind of accountability where if you don't make at least one phone call then there's automatically some consequence that comes into play. I find that that is a very helpful thing to do, but use the other techniques we talked about on the call first to get yourself to a place where you can even experiment with that.
All right, Jeff, can we do one more? I got one more good one I want to ask Matthew.
Guys, I actually do need to wrap up right at the top of the hour, so
okay.
I'm unable to do one more. But I'm certainly willing to help people if they will come to topagentmindset.com. I got a ton of resources that I can help them through, and they're all, all of them that they can take advantage of are free, and I promise we can get you going. I have paid stuff too, but take advantage of the free stuff, okay?
All right. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Thank you, Matthew, for helping these guys. I know by doing this session, we're going to help thousands of agents overcome this. And I'd like to thank Justin and Sharon for having the courage to come on here and share in a live venue. And there's going to be thousands. We have up to 10 to 14,000 views on this thing. So on some of these replays. So I really want to thank you guys for coming on and having the courage. And hopefully you'll both come on and report back when we do the FSBO one. We are going to be doing the FSBO one July 23rd. And it's going to be Matthew doing some live coaching again on mindset and skills needed for FSBOs. So there will be more Q&A then. So write it down on your calendar, and we look forward to seeing you. And thanks again, everybody. And thanks for filling in, Scott. And tell Frank we said tell Frank we hope he gets better. Thanks. Aloha.